Well, if you're still on, I had a little bit of a late start because I couldn't get any service out here at the Restoration Worship Center. But this is the Rob Taylor Report. And in a few minutes, I got a few people who are going to be coming out here, and we're going to be talking about, well, some of the things that are on their mind, some of the issues that are concerning them. And I want to remind everyone that tomorrow we have a rally here in Bandon. We're right now, if you see across the way, we're over at the across from Ray's Supermarket. But down the street, further south down 101, we're going to be meeting in front of the information center here. And we're going to be meeting here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. First, we're going to start off in Coos Bay. Coos Bay at noon, you'll be able to see us there. And from noon till 1:30, we'll be doing a Stop the Wind Turbines rally, the Breaking Wind rally, as I like to call them. And we're going to be doing another Breaking Wind rally here in Bandon. So I hope you all can join us. And hopefully we'll be getting some people coming out here in a second. But I did want to show you, this is pretty cool. Vanessa Rains, she has she got an elephant so that she could take around and show people different things about the Republican Party. She's going to have pamphlets and signs with her. She's going to have candidate signs with her, and it ought to be pretty interesting. But I thought you have to be pretty damn committed to actually go out and buy one of these metal elephants and then paint it red. That's pretty damn committed. And so that's real cool that we got this going on. I don't know if you guys heard about it today. The most incredible thing that I've seen in a long time happened. I don't know if you guys were watching the Trump rally, but the Trump rally was happening today. And also, at this, just before that rally started, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. suspended his campaign and came out as he was endorsing Donald Trump. But the cool thing about it was he did it while he was in Arizona, where Trump was speaking, and Trump had him come onto the stage at the beginning of this rally for Trump in Arizona, and that was really cool. Kennedy came on and endorsed Trump for president. And so you got to ask yourself, how bad can a Democrat candidate be for a Kennedy to actually endorse the Republican candidate? I don't know. It just seems to me like you've got to be a real commie pig to be someone who's that reviled that even a Kennedy who's running for president or was running for president would not endorse you. I mean, that really shows you how far left the Democrat Party has gone. And if not Robert Kennedy, I don't know about Robert Kennedy, but I think if John F. Kennedy was still alive, he probably would be a Republican now as well. I think the man had enough stance and character that he would actually admit that his party has gone far left of field here. And it's time that a lot of Democrats either get out of the Democrat Party or do something to change it. I don't know if they can change it. I've been fighting for the last, 5 months to try to change the Republican Party because I don't think that the leadership here in Oregon, the leadership of the Republican Party, really has the base of the party. I don't think they have the best interest for the base of the party. And so it's something that, I think is eventually going to have to change, or people are just going to leave the Republican Party. I don't know if you guys caught that lightning over there. That'd be cool if we got a lightning show going on. That would be all right. I could do that until I got hit. Yeah, then once that happens, everything's off the wagon there. Who knows what I would say at that point. But it was just cool to see a Kennedy actually do that because I think there were like 6 Kennedys who had signed a letter saying how they were really disappointed in Robert Kennedy to be doing such a vulgar thing as supporting Donald Trump. But I don't know. I think that Robert Kennedy Jr. has been so maligned and so targeted by the left and the right for his political beliefs over the last couple of years that people finally said, well, or he finally said, well, it's we got to choose a side. We got to choose the side. And I'll tell you what, Donald Trump, with all his faults, and believe me, he does have some faults. With all his faults, we still have to support the man because the alternative is worse. And we're facing the same kind of situation here in Coos County. We have a commissioner's race where we've got a pretty good conservative candidate who's an incumbent, and that's Bob Maine. And once again, Bob Maine has his faults. Bob Maine has made a lot of bad decisions. Bob Maine is part of the reason why the county has gone the direction it's gone as far as the leadership. And he does have to take blame for it. Yet Bob Maine is a much better candidate than the leftist Drew Farmer from the city of Coos Bay. Now, Drew Farmer has done an excellent job of portraying himself as a moderate. And there is no moderate in politics. If you are in politics, you're on one side or the other. And that's where we're at in this country. If you're not on the right side, if you're not doing the right things to make sure that America is first, because we are Americans and we should try to put our country first. That's just the competition of the world. That's just the nature of the beast. If we don't do those things, then we are going to lose our country, and we are slowly losing our country, and it's due to the leftist policies. So even though I have had my problems with Bob Maine, the commissioner here in Coos County, he is a much better choice than Drew. So we've got to decide in this county what we're going to do. What are we going to do with, the choice that we have before us? I mean, Drew Farmer, like I said, he's coming out as a moderate. But if you look at his time on the city council of Coos Bay, if you look at what he's done there, I mean, with his pride flag policy, and it might as well be called the pride flag policy. They called it just the flag policy. But in essence, that flag policy only anointed one flag, and that was the pride flag. I'm sure if they had the balls, the city council would put up a BLM flag. I guarantee you they'd put up a BLM flag if they knew that most of their residents would basically come out with the pitchforks, the torches and the pitchforks if they brought out BLM flags. But they thought they could get away with the pride flag. They were wrong. They tried to hang a pride flag, and luckily a bunch of patriots went down there, and we stopped that policy from happening. Of course, we only stopped it after they were able to display the pride flag for a month on the boardwalk, but we've stopped that policy since then. And then he was also instrumental, and when I say he was, they were, I'm talking about the city council of Coos Bay. Drew Farmer, he was instrumental in passing that inclusion bill. I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if you remember that inclusion bill, but literally it stated that we are a bunch of racists here in Coos County, especially in Coos Bay, and we're too stupid to know the racist policies of the past. It was absolutely ludicrous, this inclusion bill. It wasn't inclusionary at all. In fact, I would argue it didn't include anyone except for people who are minorities and of certain sexual orientations. And that's how we shouldn't judge. We shouldn't judge people by that. We don't judge people by the color of their skin or their sexual orientation. We judge them by the fact that they have character, the content of their character. I think a great man said that once. I think his name was Martin Luther King. Yeah, I think that was the guy. Yeah. So We have a city councilor who's running for county commissioner, Drew Farmer, who wants to take us back to a point where we look at each other through the lens of race, where we look at each other based on our sexual orientation, which is 100% wrong of where we want this country to go and where this country came from. There are no such words as sexual orientation or even talking of different races in the Constitution. I mean, there was when the original draft of the Constitution that was ratified. Sure, they talked about blacks and women having a certain different value than men, but that was changed. We erased that throughout history. We changed it. We amend our ways. In fact, this country is the only country ever fought a civil war where one race fought and killed the same race to defend a completely different race. And so we've amended for our bad ways throughout this country's history, and we're going to continue to amend that. And there are a lot of good people here at the Restoration Worship Center who are definitely trying to do that. They're trying to move forward with things like election integrity, with things like, well, trying to fight those wind turbines. I mean, and I tell you right now, not everyone in Citizens Restore Liberty agrees on every issue. Some people support the tax levy that the commissioners have put on the ballot, and some of us were not for increase in taxes. We believe in bleeding the beast. And we're not talking about defunding the police. I mean, if the police were allowed to do their job in this country, I guarantee you good, honest people would have no problem funding the police. But as long as we have a sabotaged justice system, where we have no cash bail, where we have people who are allowed to get out if they have even some very crimes where they've committed harm against other people, they're allowed to be released. That's not going to work in this country. When you have situations where if someone doesn't get a public defender in 12 days, their charges are dismissed, we're not going to have a justice system. And that's because the justice system has been sabotaged. It's been sabotaged from the top down, not from the bottom up. And that's why I'm opposed to any new tax increases. Tax increases would just be feeding into a system that's been purposely sabotaged. And I think that the county is going to have to find other ways to make its revenue. And I think there are ways of doing that, even if some of them are rebellious in nature. At this point, I think maybe the county should just decide to go up to the ONC lands, which is owned by the Bureau of Land Management, and actually start managing the land without permission. And if that means harvesting some wood and getting the proceeds off that timber, I think that's a good thing. Cut some of them trees down and create a fire break. Because if we don't take some of those trees down, well, they're going to burn. And then where will you be? I mean, it's a sad state of affairs. And once again, this is all intentional. It's intentional, it's sabotage, and it's being done and committed from the top down. So I highly recommend that if you're not involved, and I imagine you have to be, anyone who's watching this podcast would have to be involved. Yeah, you got to get involved. You got to start doing something. And that's why I came out here to Citizens Restoring Liberty, so that I could encourage some people not only to attend our rally, but help our campaign. And like I said, I got a wild name for this campaign. We're going to break wind. We're breaking wind. We're going to break the back of these wind corporations, the wind industrial complex, the green industrial complex, where they're telling us that all of these green energies, such as solar, such as wind turbines, are a good idea. They're not. They're bad ideas. They're eating into our agriculture. They're eating into our natural resources. And they're not providing the electricity that we were promised that they would provide. So I don't know what happened to these guys. They're going a little bit late on this meeting, because there were several of them I wanted to talk to. We got Diane Rich in there. She's been helping me with our campaign. we have Carol Yardley. She's a North Bend School District board member who's also jumped on the wind turbine campaign because she knows that a lot of the parents of the school children, in which she is a board member of their district, she knows that they are going to suffer even more economic turmoil because of this wind turbine project. And anyone who wants to come and get one of our wind turbine signs, come out tomorrow into Coos Bay. Come out to the boardwalk at noon. And I can't promise you one of these big signs, but we do have some littler yard signs that we're willing to give away right now to let people know that we intend to fight this to the end. Now, there are some people who are worried that the wind turbine corporations are going to come in here and try to wine and dine the Indian tribes and wine and dine our commissioners and our city councilors, and especially our port members, the port board, because every port in the county has a board, and the only difference between the Coos Bay or the Port of Coos Bay board and all the other port boards is the fact that the Coos Bay port board is appointed by the governor, meaning that they're not elected by the citizens. So there are, from what I understand, a few port members on the Coos Bay port who want these wind turbines to go in. And so we have, people who are going to fight against us, but I don't think these corporations are going to come in here and start spending a lot of money on trying to thwart the vote of the people. And that's why this advisory question, asking the citizens if they want their commissioners to stop or oppose this wind turbine project. I don't think that these corporations who are going to lease these projects are going to come down here and fight this, because I think it's going to, I think they know it would be a black eye in the court of public opinion. I don't think the people would stand for it. A big corporation coming down here trying to tell us what we're going to do and what we're going to like. I think the people of Coos County and the people of Curry County, we may not be the richest county. We may not be the most sophisticated people, but we don't like to take your shit, okay? I know I don't like to take shit. And I know there's a lot of people at Coos County who feel the same way. We're not going to take your crap. We're not going to put up with it. We're not going to be told what we're going to pay for, and that what we're paying for is going to be more harmful to us than not paying for it at all. That's ridiculous. So we need people to come out and help us tomorrow at the rally, and we need people to to help get us involved. You can go to our website. We've got a website at OAWT, which stands for Oregonians Against Wind Turbines, but we shortened that up for you. It's at OAWT.org. Once again, that's OAWT.org. And you can go to that website. It's right there at the bottom of the screen, and sign up to join our army. Join our army for our Breaking Wind campaign. If you could think you can break some wind, well, we want you on our team. And I don't mean the regular type of breaking wind. I mean breaking the backs of the wind turbine corporations. And I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm not anti-capitalist at all. In fact, the reason that I am so opposed to these corporations coming in here and leasing these wind turbine call areas is because the taxpayers are subsidizing these up to 100%. The businesses, even if they lose money on this project, the government has guaranteed they will cover those losses, meaning that the agency or the corporation itself will suffer no consequence whatsoever for any loss that they sustain while leasing these call areas. How do you like that? How would you like to have a business where the government guarantees that no matter how bad of a business plan you have, no matter how lousy your service, that the government will use taxpayer dollars to cover any losses for your stupidity. How would you like that? Because there's a lot of stupid Americans out there who've opened up really bad businesses who would have loved to gotten that support. That's not capitalism. That's not capitalism at all. And I don't mind going after corporations who want to use my tax dollars to destroy the economy of the place I live, because that's what they're going to do. They're literally going to destroy the economy of rural Oregon. I mean, this has been the goal of the leftists in Salem for the last several decades. Their goal is to destroy rural Oregon and the people who live in rural Oregon. In fact, they don't even want to destroy rural Oregon. They want to use it as their playground. They just want to get rid of all of us people. They just want to get rid of all of us rubes, all of the people in Coos County who, call this place home. We're the ones they really want to get rid of. We're the ones they can't stand. How you doing today? You got a second? You got to head home? Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming, man. No problem. Come back again. We appreciate it. Stan, you got a second? Come on out. Go for it. So what we're going to do with this battle, this campaign, the Breaking Wind campaign, is we got to utilize every tool in the toolbox. So we're going to be getting more political signs with the measure numbers on them. We're going to be doing radio ads. We're going to be doing newspaper ads. We're going to encourage people to write letters. And we're possibly going to be doing a lot of texting and phone calling out there, because a lot of people are not aware of this. In fact, the best thing you could do if you're tuning in to this podcast, the best thing you could do right now would be to let people know this is happening, to let people know they are going to come in, the wind turbine corporations are going to come in, and they're going to destroy our way of life. Did you catch that, Lightning? That was really cool. And so, as the citizens, we got to stop that. And I'm going to talk to another local citizen, everyone you probably know, Stan Avery. Stan, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
That's good. Why'd you come here tonight?
Well, we actually, Teresa and I, my gypsy wife, we're a couple of 5 people that actually originated this. In the very beginning, we all met in there and sat down right in the middle of the COVID shutdown, and we were just like, this is not happening. We're going to do something. And so we started this, didn't know where it was going. I'm actually astonished that it's still going on. This was like well over a year ago, a long time ago. And we still have people showing up, and it's all about citizens restoring liberty. That was the name we picked, and that's what we're still trying to do.
So we're still sticking with that agenda, restoring liberty for the citizens.
Yeah, there are issues that rise and fall. Like, for example, this windmill issue, I was actually early on, I was kind of like, well, I'm really glad there's some people in the legislature that are trying to ameliorate that. Like, let's have some studies and let's reduce the scope of it. But I'm freaked out. These things are massive. And my sister and her husband are visiting from Australia. She is incredulous that we are even considering this, that people are considering this, because she said there are no success stories internationally.
None.
Nothing on offshore wind. There is no success at all. Norway put up a huge array of these, and now they are at enormous expense going through and dismantling the entire thing. It's a colossal failure. So that's
Denmark. Denmark is one of the several companies who are leasing call areas out in the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I believe one in New Jersey is from that Denmark company.
Yeah.
They have lost $500 million on their wind turbine projects. It's such a big loss. That's the reason why the leases for the call areas out here protects the companies who lease the call areas from any liability. They cover their losses, and they cover it with your tax dollars and my tax dollars.
I'm a Bible guy, and there is that verse that says the root of all evil is the love of money. So I'm just, I don't want to be cynical, but I know this is a disaster. Somewhere behind this, there is somebody that is taking the money and running. I don't know who. like this thing offshore, our water off the ocean here,
Mm-hmm.
the state has no jurisdiction. It's purely federal. It's not international water.
Right.
It's U.S. territorial water. So they can just thumb their nose at us and they can pretend to listen, but they're just going to do whatever they want to do. But the thing is, our state will bear the entire responsibility because there's that same caveat they have, like with vaccinations, where the government has no, the medical establishment has no liability. Same thing here. They have no liability whatsoever. So when those things blow up, there are beaches that are no-go zones because of these windmill blades shattering and ending up on shore with all this like extremely toxic and damaging fiberglass material.
Material. Yeah, I was just talking to your wife about that, and she was saying that it doesn't go away. It doesn't break down.
No.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like that's what you're putting offshore. And as I was describing the windmills in the meeting, the ones they're putting up here on the West Coast are going to be the size of the Empire State Building. And the wingspans are going to be 3 football fields long.
Yeah, I had no idea they were that big. Now,
huge.
I travel in India a lot, especially South India. And in India, they actually have successful wind power there, but it's on the land. The winds are really tame, and they're small units. And it's just like the people don't mind. They're just like these villagers, and it gives them electricity. But they're just these really tame units, and they're maintainable, and they're just on the ground. And so they have wind power there that actually works, well, at least so far. But what we're talking about here is astonishing.
Yeah.
This would be like something from a science fiction movie.
It is literally like a science fiction movie. This is like a dystopian movie. One of those movies you see on late night where, we're all living in the decaying world, and they have the only way we're going to get energy because we're not using our brains and getting it from the earth like we should, the oils, the coals, nuclear, even nuclear I would support. You can answer on that, but we're going to have these wind turbines off the coast, and it is going to look literally like the river Styx. You know what I mean? The river to hell.
I like nuclear power, especially small scale.
Yeah.
Nuclear power is actually kind of cool. Everything has its dangers.
Right.
Including crossing the street.
Right.
There's danger everywhere. But this mess with the wind turbines, I mean, we're going to be stuck with it until Jesus comes back and cleans up the whole planet, or whatever he's going to do.
Right.
It's not going to be like something like, well, our grandchildren won't even know. Tell me about the windmills. No, you don't need to. You can go look and see the mess.
Right. You can see the mess. You can see what we left.
But it's the federal government. What do we do? How do we vote?
Right.
What do we do?
Well, you vote to stop them from putting it out there in these advisory questions.
Well, what about the idea? There have to be investors. What about the idea of the investors kind of looking at this and thinking and being persuaded, maybe this isn't such a good idea?
How would you persuade them?
Well, if they're actual real capitalists, and I believe in the free enterprise system, but not I'm not a capitalist.
Okay.
I'm just an old hippie. But the thing is that if they are real capitalists, and if this is an actual investment, then I can understand that you could reason with them. The problem is there's this caveat with no liability. So in other words, if it profits, that's great. But if it goes south, then you just walk away. And then who pays for that? It's the taxpayers.
Right.
This is a terrible situation.
Indemnity, that's what the term is when the government says that they can't be held liable for their own actions, and corporations can't be held liable. Indemnity for that.
There are laws in the universe, and one is that if you're going to have authority, you also have to have responsibility.
Yeah, that's
when you have authority without responsibility, it's a universal law. It doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, it's like freedom, and you hear people talk about, well, I have these rights, I have those rights, and in the same breath, they forget to mention their responsibilities, because you have a lot of responsibilities that go with each and every one of those rights. You can live the life that you want to live, but we're not going to pay for it. That's one of those things. Unfortunately, in today's world, we're paying for a lot of lifestyles of a lot of people who don't deserve it.
My wife and I, we raised 9 kids. We have 28 grandkids now. But when we raised those kids, we had authority over them, but we had responsibility.
Right.
But they go together, and when you separate them, you end up with tyranny and damage, and it's just a terrible situation. You know, you can't see behind you, but I'm telling you, you are about to get wet. Here it comes.
That sky, I've been watching I mean, I've caught him on the screen a couple of
Your
times.
hair is standing up from the static electricity from
Wow.
in the air.
And it's wet. My hair's a little
Yeah,
bit wet out here. That's not surprising. It's we used to have some really incredible lightning storms in the desert.
That's true, but you know, this rain is really a godsend because this is going to be great for the forests.
Yes.
The
ones they're not managing, yes, especially.
Well, a mid-August healthy rainfall in a place like Western Oregon is very nice. Yeah.
We have a biologist by the name of Dr. Bob Zybach.
Yeah.
You familiar with
I've
Bob?
heard the name, yeah.
Okay, Bob is, and I've often wondered this myself. If the woods gets too overgrown, it has to burn naturally because the animals need clear space so that they can roam, so that they can move and feed in. And that's why clear cutting is the best alternative to natural fires just burning the hell out of it.
Actually, without oversharing here, I have spent an inordinate amount of time in old growth forests in Oregon, places where you would swear no one has ever been. And I'm just telling you, an old growth forest is a dead zone.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these huge trees and they're just slowly dying and falling over and being replaced. But in terms of actual life, there's a vacancy sign and there's no one there. If you want to find animals, you go to places where you've got open area, where you've got vegetation growing. Nothing grows on the ground in an old growth forest. There's nothing there. Maybe some huckleberries on the ridges or something, but anyway. Right. So old growth is not a good plan in terms of life. The animals are not pleased with old growth. They don't go there. They go elsewhere.
Well, you know, that was the funny thing that when I was talking to this lady who she wasn't quite a greeny weenie. She wasn't far left, but she still had some left leanings, left tendencies. And she actually agreed that there is a reason to harvest the timber. She was to that point where she believed timber needed to be harvested.
In a house made of wood.
Right, right. And so but that was one of the things that she was explaining as well, that you know, once these trees get to a certain size, we consider them old growth. And I asked her, well, how do you define old growth? And she literally said, well, that's up for debate as well.
It's
we really
thing.
Yeah, we don't know. Certain people are saying 70 years, some people say 150, some people say 300. What is old growth? And why is it better to keep old growth than to have young trees? I don't know.
No, an old growth forest is not healthy. There's so many. I've spent so much time there. Like a lot of time. Disease, and it's a ghost town in terms of wildlife. And
this is over 100 years old.
Yeah, well,
that is the definition of old growth. And some people want to move the goalposts, and they want to move the goalposts to 150 or 250. But nobody calls anything under 100 years old growth.
No.
So
well, no, they were calling 70-year-old trees old growth. And I'm 10 to 12 years from 70.
Well,
so
there's first growth, second growth, third growth, you know, and it just goes in cycles.
Right.
It just gets replaced. And if you see a forest and it's not old growth, just wait a while.
Yeah. Well, shouldn't we cut some trees down to save other trees? I mean, I don't have a problem with old growth, but
I think you should just go out and cut the trees that are sick, the trees that are falling down. I think you should clip all of those. And I do not care for anybody who goes counter to that.
As in?
Because they're a waste of my time. They need to be clipped.
A sentimental attachment to old growth just for its own sake makes no sense in terms of nature and economics. Either way you want to cut it. Nature, there isn't some like nature's going, oh, it's an old growth. It's like it's a graveyard. it's a graveyard of these old trees that are dead and dying, and they're not healthy. I mean, you look at them. I've just seen them. They fall over. The insides are all rotted. You know, but it's beautiful. But there are places, um, uh, Rob, where it's not physically practical to log the old growth, and the only thing they can do is just let it go. And there are places we have wilderness areas, and I've been in.
What is this that you say it's physically not possible?
Yeah, I would question
Because
that.
one, I have seen helicopter foresting, and that's where a helicopter.
No, helicopter forestry would work, but in terms of the kind that we grew up with, oh, I'm gonna have to go. The kind we grew up with, it's I have been in places where there's no soil, no topsoil, it's all gravel, and the slope is like this. And
Yeah.
and there is no, you can't do anything with that.
Yeah,
There's no way.
they harvest that. They got machinery that harvests that now.
Well,
But the problem is they don't have the roads. They don't maintain the forest roads in there
Yes.
so that you can use the old techniques to harvest it.
there is a choice between logging and maintaining the salmon. There's a lot of salmon that grow up back in there. Anyway, I'm going to have to go. But you've got more people coming out here.
I do have more people coming out here.
Good talk.
Good talk. Take care. Hey, how's the school board going? Aren't you on the school board still?
I was on the school board,
Yeah.
and in May, I walked into the hospital with my foot,
Yeah.
and I spent 30 days in the hospital. And I
Ouch.
spent the last 21 days recovering from a paralytic event after I got my foot surgery done.
Did one cause the other?
No, they don't know what caused the paralytic event. I just had a paralytic event. And that's why I call it a paralytic event, because I was paralyzed.
Because you look good. You look normal. I wouldn't say you look good, but you look normal. I mean, every other aspect of you looks pretty normal. The cane, you're right, is a new feature here.
Yep.
I just figure, it was one of those things. You had gout.
So I missed the last more than 90 days worth of board meetings, and they voted me off.
Ah, that's how that works.
So I'm trying to get back up on my feet. I'm working at it.
Yeah.
It's a long, slow process.
Yeah.
And my name is still Scott Strobely, and I'm still not woke.
That's good. That's good. That's good, because we got a lot of problems with that these days. So,
go ahead, ask your question.
oh, so my question is, why are you here?
I'm here at CRL because it gets me out of the house and gets me active.
Good. Good.
And
that's the problem with the people.
I was getting pretty unhappy with our last speaker.
Well, who was that?
Well, I'm a churchgoer here, and he's a churchgoer here. He had a whole bunch of naysaying to say about election integrity, as an example. And whatever else he had, and he said he wanted something concrete that he could do as far as actively getting out and doing something. And he's going to go grab a whole bunch of young people, everybody that he needs, and bring them along. But he doesn't want to bring them to a CRL meeting.
Huh.
So I'd love for you to go ahead and interview him.
All right.
He's from Paradise Valley, California.
Oh, wow. He was in the fire. I think I know who you're talking about.
So I'd really like to hear you interview him.
I would enjoy that. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Come here, you two. You're not escaping. I finally got it working, so I couldn't get it working there for a few minutes, but I actually got 20 viewers. 20 people. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. And so, but I have to get back further from you two because you're short and she's tall, and there you go. Perfect. So, why are you ladies here?
We were here to listen to you talk about the wind turbines and how we can stop them by voting yes. Yes.
Nice. Nice.
I can vouch for that.
Hey, Homer, how you doing? Good to see you.
Be
So-
there tomorrow.
You're going to be there tomorrow? I appreciate that.
I'm getting rained on.
Yeah, but you're not made of sugar. You're not going to melt.
She is made of sugar.
She said, made of what? You did say sugar, right?
Yeah.
How funny. Well, that's cool. I'm excited about this. And it's the first time in a while that we've had a good issue to campaign on. You know, the whole COVID thing just sucked because they were really going after us. This time, I feel like the shoes on the other foot, so to say, where we're kicking butt. And
Well, like you said, this isn't about Republican or Democrat. This
Yeah.
is about the well-being of our community
yeah, yeah,
and a lot of communities, not just ours. So unless you want to, then we're going to eat the loss. It's going to be a failure.
yes,
It has not worked anywhere else.
nope.
Who in their right mind honestly thinks it's going to work here?
It's almost like they're drug addicts.
Yeah.
Well, we just spent all our money on cocaine. You know what we should do? Get some more cocaine. That's what we should do. And this time it will go well. Yeah. I think we got a bunch of coke heads in the in position of power who are just they don't understand. You keep banging your head against the wall, you're just going to get the same results.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, this is like you said. There's nowhere in the world that I know that it's working. I mean, there's okay. You may be able to find one small example, but that's on the micro level, not on the macro level, not on the level this
People
is.
don't realize they're going to eat the loss.
Yeah.
There's no liability here for anybody but us.
And did you hear that latest study? I just sent it to Diane. We just posted it on the Facebook page. Oregonians Against Wind Turbines on Facebook. And it was talking about, and this is an actual study done by professionals, talking about how crabs are attracted to the electric lines, the wiring, and they start nesting on the wiring, and they don't go through the molting process and become mature crabs, and they die.
They don't eat.
They don't eat.
They don't eat. They don't have sex.
They're getting electrical cocaine. Literally. I mean, we were trying to use that as an example, but what it is electric cocaine. That's
So much for your crab, Mama.
yeah, so much for your crab. I mean,
Would you love the crab?
that's what people come to Bandon and come to the coast just to have fresh seafood. And here we are, we're going to be telling them, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And we already got dirty beaches with a lot of poo on it, and we got a lot of fish that we can't fish for because they're poisoned. It just makes no sense to continue poisoning them. So I don't know.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be destroyed in all this.
Yeah.
It's not if, it's just when.
When?
So we'll see you
Tomorrow at noon.
Tomorrow at noon. Good. See you later, Elmo. Hey, did you see this red elephant? Isn't that the coolest thing?
It's so
It is so Danessa.
I did not have a blue ray. Okay.
Oh, good. Blue whales are good. Take it, please.
Good to hear you.
Good to hear you. Good to see you.
Hey, Rob.
You guys go out and read too, right? It's supposed to have a message behind it.
What's your message? This is Danessa Rains, by the way.
This is Stumpy.
Love it.
Stumpy is supposed to say "Stop out communism, vote Trump." And I just haven't done
Stumpy.
Stumpy. I like it.
I thought it was like, what were they used to be candidates, campaigns, and they'd make stump on the stump. Yeah. Oh, I thought that's where you were getting it from, but
No,
yeah,
no,
I like
stomp.
the acronym.
I want to stomp on, elephants. They have quite a bit of a stomp.
Stomp,
It's
right.
probably the biggest stomp there is in the world.
That's cool. That is cool. I
So,
like it. How hard was it to paint that red?
that was 4 cans of red spray paint.
Was it 4
And
cans?
then my husband found his modeling paints, and he did the eyeballs black, shiny black. I mean, it looks mean. I mean,
It
that's
does.
a mean elephant. That doesn't look. That's not a pansy elephant.
No, that's not a pansy elephant. That
And
looks
and,
like a.
and then he spray painted the tusk white. So
Oh, I bet they love. Did they love the story over there at the where you got it, or?
no, actually, when I mentioned I was going to paint it red, and about stomping out communism, I don't think the lady was all that enthused.
Oh
I
no.
think she was a liberal. So,
Oh well,
but I don't think they realize. I mean, a lot of these people don't know the history of communism.
Nope.
Don't they realize China's buying up our land off the sweat of the people that worked as slaves, and they were told to kill their babies because of the common good, and live in this little commune, uh, and
People don't realize it.
they
Yeah.
they have no idea. I had seen people come, and we built chemical plants, and we had to train in the United States so the operators could go back and when their plant was built, and they would come a group of 10, and these are nice. I mean, people that have gone to college, educated. They literally to come here to be able to shop for some of the things that they wanted. Some of them paid their sold an organ and shit to be able to afford baby's milk and
Oh wow.
coach purses and cameras and stuff. Um, you know, that's the reality of communism, okay? And the police state of you. I mean, we're in it right now.
We're in it.
We're
Seriously.
in it.
Yeah.
So that's why this is our last state here. Oregon is one of the most progressive states in the union, and we are the beta for the United States.
We are.
For mail-in ballots.
Yep.
We are the
For
abortions.
the transgenderism, assisted suicide, the welfare for everyone, the health care for everyone, not just our citizens. You can fly in here if you're a pregnant woman, 9 months pregnant, and have an abortion on our dollar.
Well, right now we just found out $30,000 for illegal
$30,000
for an illegal immigrant to come here and get housing, a house, a down payment on a house, on top of phone and free health care and income and all that. We don't give those to our young people.
No, and nor should we.
Well, the way I see it is if those kids raise an animal or do something or work up during the summer, yes, if they're hardworking and they put
I'd give them tax breaks. But I hate to give anyone money because it gives them, it gives the politicians such power.
They're giving them an upper hand. Now, okay, how many people got that kind of upper hand when they came across as immigrants?
Nobody.
They talked about, what's that island?
Ellis Island.
Ellis Island. Those people ain't get a hand.
Nope.
They came here to work and pursue the American dream. It wasn't come here and get American handouts from American taxpayers, which can't even afford it.
And some of them got sent back because they didn't pass the health inspection.
That's my rant. Okay, that's my rant. And my kids worked their ass off. They've got good paying jobs. They went to college. They're not working in Oregon because there's no jobs.
There's no jobs
here,
in
Texas making jobs, but they're not going to have anything to come back to.
Yeah.
Because basically all these corporations are trying to break the back of all the rural America, and they're going to come in and suck up all the land. They're going to pollute our shores with windmills.
Yeah.
They're telling us how to live our lives
when they're no example to be.
I mean, the government, everything they've touched, anything they've touched,
goes to crap.
Medicare, anything they've touched, they've over budget.
Yeah.
We don't even have audits of these things. And,
nope.
And they just keep trumping things. And And so, anyway, I'm gonna make sure something. I'm trying to make a couple of festivals.
Cool.
it's a statement. And I don't have any signage on it, but I think the people actually get
Oh, they
it.
get it. Totally. That's a red elephant. I don't think you can miss the message that elephant is saying.
Yeah. So,
All right.
all right.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Janessa.
this is my farm truck, by the way. It's not the prettiest. I didn't wash it, but
Actually, that's a nice truck. I don't know what you're talking about.
it's
I love the color. I like the blue.
60 miles an hour and it hasn't blown off yet.
Nice.
So it's tested. I have gone to Tuesday and back and Bandon in the back now. So it's
I bet people driving behind you are going, "What the hell is this
I had a
lady?"
lot of camera pictures. Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
So
I bet.
I just hope little kids see that this is a future right here. This is the future.
Well, you have a good drive home.
All right.
And with that, folks, that was a beautiful rant. As you can see, I'm getting soaked out here in front of the Restoration Worship Center. So until next week, I'll see you Monday. Trevor Loudon is going to be on. That's right. I got Trevor Loudon coming on. We're going to talk about Chinese. Oh, hold on. Yep, there's a nice Trump sign. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to have Trevor Loudon on Monday at 3 o'clock. Rumble, YouTube, X. Check me out there. And, Trevor's an old friend, and we're going to be talking to him about the Chinese connection, Kamala's Chinese connection, Walt's Chinese connection, and basically the Democrats' party to change into the Chinese Communist Party. That looks like that's their doctrine now. And so until then, carry on, Coos County, carry on.